Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Leftovers Season 2, Episode 7. It's called A Most Powerful Adversary. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, this has actually been a little while since we've recorded one of these,
Yeah,
because we ended up having two binge-style shows back-to-back over 2 weekends, and we didn't intend on going a couple of weeks without recording, but we ended up doing that. It's just kind of how it worked out. So it's nice to be back. It was odd. It was odd watching an episode after not watching one for 2 weeks. It was like, oh yeah,
it was. This is, by far the longest we've gone without watching one.
yeah. So, but no. So we're here, back, try and get back on schedule and catch up a little bit over the next little while. Um, the original goal when we started Leftovers was to finish around now. We should be finishing about now. Obviously, that's not happened because we're still in season 2. Not to worry. All it will really mean is that if we're still going into like sort of late September, which we will probably be, I don't see us getting through that many episodes to catch up. We'll probably be switching to one a week once like, other shows start up. But we'll obviously keep going until we finish.
Of
Because
course.
we won't stop. That'd be silly. But anyway, so yeah, episode 7 of season 2. So this was a Kevin focused episode.
Yes.
Mainly, we stuck with him on his journey, and he was trying to deal, of course, with these Patty problems, and it kind of starts with this big kind of bombshell tells us that Nora's just sort of up and left. Like she's left a note and she's vanished, and Patty like tells him this as
Yeah.
he's
I mean,
waking up.
I don't think I'd seen this coming from the end of the last
No,
episode.
not did
I wouldn't
In
have said
fact,
that would have happened.
In fact, now admittedly the note did say don't call, which does kind of indicate that it is what he thinks, but I was convinced for the majority of the episode that it would turn out to not actually be what it's not a panicking thing, it's just, no, she had to go somewhere with the baby, and for whatever reason she had to turn her phone off. Like, I thought she was going to like just shop at the end, and it wasn't actually, she abandoned them and left.
Hmm.
Like, I was really getting that vibe that there was going to be a swerve. Obviously that did not turn out to be the case, but I was really convinced of that for a lot of the episode.
Yeah, no, I get why you think that because it
Yeah.
does seem like out of left field. Like the end of the last episode, obviously, she
And
kind of just walked off. She didn't want to deal with it, but it didn't seem like she was going to leave.
she was in a bad place, certainly. So at the same time, I don't think it's out of character based on the end of the last episode, but it didn't. I didn't jump to like, oh, this
No,
is what she was
it's
going
a
to do next.
surprise.
Yeah. So, but to be fair, it was for him as well. He woke up and
Hmm?
Patty's sitting there,
Yeah.
and Jill kind of catches him talking to her a little bit, and he scrubs past it and doesn't tell her, but she's concerned, and she immediately is like, okay, what did you do? You screwed this up. I told you not to screw this up, and she's left. What have you done? We had something going here, and now we're back to just me and you, and we don't do very well when it's just me and you, because I tend to hit your guts. That's kind of what happened last time.
Yeah, and there's no friend here to buffer.
Yeah, no, she's went back in time to the 70s to do to do some amateur porn. That is a reference to the HBO show The Deuce, which the pilot went out early this past week. In case you're thinking that is a really weird reference to something, but there you go. So this is him, and he's concerned about Nora, and he's driving around, and she obviously wakes up handcuffed, and he can't find the key, so he has to cut off the handcuffs. So he's got like the half of the handcuffs like dangling around his wrist for the rest of the
Yeah.
episode, and like a lot of it is him like going to try and he goes to a locksmith, and he's like, hey, can you get me out of this? And he's like, what was this, something kinky? And even Patty's cracking a joke about, oh, say it was sexual aid, but the locksmith, knows enough to know, oh, these are police issue. He recognises it, and we know there's a legitimate explanation for that. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a cop, or I used to be a cop,
Yeah.
but he's like, oh, I need to see like a badge or like ID to not report this because this is sketchy. And
It's fair enough.
yeah, it's understandable. You can't necessarily blame the guy. Like, it's like, I mean, if you knew Kevin personally to know that he used to be a cop, you would understand. I assume he would just sort of go along with it, but he doesn't.
Right.
So it's like, yeah. So you get it. What I will say I liked about this episode a lot is that there's some specific scenes that play on a lot of things that have happened throughout the entire show, which we'll get to. But what I really liked about this episode is that two chunks of it, and not necessarily separated from each other either, but it sort of goes back and forth. But it really gives you two opposing views as to what's going on with Kevin. There's the Virgil side of it, which is Patty is real and this is what she is, and this is what we need to do to combat it. And then there's the Laurie side of it, and we'll get to why Laurie's around in a minute. But she's like, no, this is not real. This is a psychosis thing. This is in your head, and this is why it's in your head, and this is why. And honestly, both explanations were actually very convincing.
Yes, absolutely.
Both of them made me go, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. You know, when Virgil's talking about he had a similar thing and that's how he fought it, and he's talking about it, I'm like, oh, this sounds quite good. This sounds like a good bit of mythology for the show that could be real, maybe. And
But then Laurie's like, yeah, like the stuff Patty was saying about her husband before. He's like, yeah, I did tell you that.
yeah, we even
You've just
spoke about
forgotten.
that. Like she might have mentioned that one
Yeah,
time during the marriage, and like it's like subconscious knowledge that he doesn't remember.
right, exactly. So it's kind of that plants a seed that, oh, okay, there's plausible
But
there.
but the main thing she brings up is why is she not here when I'm around? It's because I could easily prove that it's not her. That
Yeah,
although I don't know if that doesn't necessarily prove that she's not real though, because I was one of the things I was thinking was that it's not really Patty. It's just something else using Patty's image.
yeah. Also, maybe Patty wants to keep the mystery. Like, like say
Yeah.
she is real. It's like, hey, she's messing with Kevin. It's like, no, let's keep him wondering. Keep
But
him broken.
one of the interesting things I thought right up until the last scene, right when everything's go down in the last final moment, she was also not showing up when Virgil was around as well. Because that was something. As
Yeah,
soon as Laurie said, "Oh, she's not showing up when I'm around," because I'm the one that can prove her wrong. Like, but she's also hiding when Virgil's around too. Like,
yeah.
so again, adding
She
credence to
doesn't
both.
want definitive
Yeah,
answers either way, does she?
yeah. So like again, it was playing with those ideas, and I'm like, oh man, like which I actually kind of like both. Like, I like the idea that it's just in his head and it is just an emotional thing, and what does that do for the character? But then I also kind of like the idea of no, it's actually something that's there and
Mm.
something because we've been talking about all season how he tries to kill himself in the lake, and something stepped in, something intervened to save him, and I think our kind of tangent on that was always oh, it's something to try to save him because someone's looking out for him. But Virgil actually offers like it's either someone's looking out for you or the title of the episode or you've got a powerful adversary, and it's
Yeah.
like oh shit, like I didn't really think of that. That this is someone who wants to keep him alive, to keep him tormented.
Right.
Like
We never even considered that, but we were on the right lines, but we just didn't go that step further to that.
But I think, like again, it's important to point out here is that even still, it's still this character's speculation. It's still this just character's beliefs. It's not
Yeah.
nothing's concrete, and which is kind of what the whole show is. It's like speculating about why people left. We're never actually going to get answers. It's about how it's affected everyone and so on. So I really like that. I liked that. Once we got to a certain point, I was like, man, I actually kind of like both these sides of the arguments. And one of them was like, oh, this is logical. And Laurie's whole argument is that, oh no, after something like this happens and people need to believe something and they accept answers, and we'll get into more of that again, more of that conversation. But she says, and do you know how I know that's true? I joined an effing cult. Like, and that line cracked me up. It's like,
Well, it's good.
so like convincing. But then Virgil at the same time he points out that back in like episode 2 when we were at the visitor center and he hadn't even spoke to him yet, he came up and said, "Oh, I can help you with your problem," and like he implied that he knew about Patty right
Yeah.
there and then.
Yeah. Like I say, like it's how would he know if there was nothing there?
So we actually have strong evidence on both sides. It's
Right. Which kind of makes it annoying in some regards because like, damn it, I want answers. But at the same time, there's enough there that you can kind of go, yeah, choose yourself for now.
and I think if the show's smart, and up till now it has been very smart with this stuff, I think it'll leave it completely open for both.
Quite possibly, unless whatever the story going into season 3 is needs a definitive answer for this.
Sure, yeah. I don't see it though. I feel like it will get to the point where okay, either it was just in his head and what she was saying back to him is what he needed to hear to get through whatever, right? Or it'll be it was real, but we'll never actually be able to know for sure. It can still be either. I
Yeah.
can see it playing still kind of between
Oh yeah, probably.
and I think just given the tone and what the show has chosen to like, what path it's chosen to go down before, I feel like that's kind of where it's going to go with it. Uh, let's talk about Laurie. Let's talk about why she's in town, and
Yeah.
the other thing she says to Kevin that's of great interest. So she is there because despite the fact that Nora said no on the phone, she shows up at the edge of the town and he has to go down and talk to her at the gate because she's not allowed in. And first of all, great moment here is like as soon as she says hey, before he even said anything, I went, huh, I bet she's not even spoke to him since that one word. She screamed Jill's name on the
Yeah.
night of the season 1 finale, right? But this is probably the first time she's actually spoke to him, and it's the first thing he says is, "Oh, you're talking." I'm like, "Oh, see," and it's like, as much as this season, obviously a lot of character like growth and motivations like carried over from season one, but the season for the most part's been relatively standalone, and it's presented all these new ideas and stuff.
Things
Outside,
have been quite separate, haven't they?
yeah, it's felt very contained. With, I guess, the one main exception to that being Kevin's whole predicament that's carried through, but again, that's very specific to the character. Uh, every single conversation that he had with Laurie in this episode, it was making me feel everything in season one was suddenly very relevant again. Like, all that past felt super, entwined with what was going on, and it was nice. It was nice that it all mattered.
Right, and it's also starting to give I feel like it's been a separate season in the sense that everything outside of the town has felt separate as well. You know, the Laurie stuff. Whereas here it's like, okay, now it's playing in. There's awareness. Where can we go from there?
Yeah. So she still thinks Tom's there. This is Kevin finding out that he's missing for a start. Like, he didn't even know she was with him. You know, that they were together at all throughout this.
Yeah.
And he's shocked when Laurie says, "Oh, he's been texting Jill. Like, they're in contact." And
Yeah, because he says he hasn't even spoke to him in over a year. Like, so that at the start of season one when he was trying to contact him.
yeah, that's the great thing, is like, he's not actually mentioned Tom all season, but that was a big thing in season one. That he kept trying to contact him and he kept not being able to. So I think that's a rewarding thing if you've been watching since the start, and you should have. This is not exactly the show you jump into a random episode, but like, you've been watching since the start of the show. It's really rewarding because you go, oh man, he really cared about that, and he eventually just kind of stopped trying.
Yeah, it was once the number got disconnected. He just kind of left it, didn't he?
Yeah, he really didn't have much of an option at that point, unless he wanted to go on like a manhunt, try to find him. Like, it was not really much he could do. But so actually, because as much as he's not spoken about him all season, as soon as he found that out, he looked hurt. He looked like, what? Like, and the reaction played really well for me, because I'm like, no man, like, he actually has been concerned about where he's been for a long time. You know, he says over a year, and we believe it's been over a year because it's all the way back to, episode one, season one. I'm sure he tried to call him. So
yeah, definitely.
Really good stuff. So other stuff goes down when he goes to see Virgil and that, and we'll talk about that sort of stuff. I want to stay on the Laurie side of
the Laurie stuff. Yeah.
So he goes out of town to the motel that she's staying at, and very quickly, obviously, he's kind of there in a sort of almost therapist capacity. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, they know each other and he's his ex-wife, but at the same time, she's a therapist, so there's like
it's very clinical and professional, isn't it?
Yeah, he's sitting on the bed, she's sitting over on the chair, and the way she's asking questions, it's very... and obviously it goes down different paths, because she eventually says, okay, if you were actually my patient, I wouldn't tell you what I'm about to, but you're not my patient, so here's the truth, and here's where things are. But she says a lot of it. Obviously, they both smoke, which they have a little kind of chuckle about, and they kind of reminisce about, where he used to hide them and things like that. And again, little tidbits of season one stuff kind of like seeping in, and the history's there. The history's informing their past.
It's a lot of that stuff we saw in the flashback episode. That kind of the one that led to their breakup and stuff.
Of course, yeah, that comes up later when they go back to the house, where Kevin just turns around suddenly and says, "I'm sorry about the dog."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?" And it's like, "The dog, you wanted a puppy." And she's like, "Oh, I'd forgotten about that." And I like that Kevin hasn't, because Kevin knows that was kind of the line that he went over. Like, no, I mean, it could have been anything else, but that was the thing. That was the final kind of thing that was sent him down this path.
That was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back. It was the dog.
So, so I like that. Do you know what I liked about these scenes as well? I like that it feels like there's all this history, and it feels like they're making some kind of amends, but it doesn't for a second feel like, it's going to be a love triangle because
not at all.
Laurie's back in the picture. Like, he still clearly cares about Nora in that capacity. That's who he's concerned about.
He's here with Laurie for help, but there's familiarity, of course. They spent years of their lives together, and
a lot of this feels like it is, because even when Laurie says, "Oh, you sure Jill won't me at the house?" and he says, "Well, I didn't really want you around either, but I'm getting used to the idea." Like, so it's mending a little bit, and it's like the history is there for a reason. There was a time when they did love each other, and maybe they still do love each other, but even though it's like damaged and it's never going to be what it was, there's a reason why that connection was there in the first place. And so but so interesting things that come up in this. Obviously, we have the conversation about Patty, and we talked about that, and why it might not be real, and all the rest of it. Some really interesting stuff though she brings up about Tom And it's funny because when we got to that episode with them and he told the story about Wayne coming back into the bathroom and saying that he passed on his power, I don't think we ever questioned that it might be a lie.
No, no, we didn't.
And after what she says here, I'm actually convinced it's 100% a lie. And he just made that up because he talks about how they made up this story to make people feel better. Because even if Wayne was real or not, in the sense that he had this power, the idea that at least from his point of view, it was a sham. It was just like, you believe this, so we can help you.
And it has that meta commentary of the idea that we didn't question it because we're just told. So we go, yeah, we'll believe this. We want to believe this.
It's a TV show, yeah. Like
Yeah.
You accept weird things like that because it's a TV show and you want it to be true. But she's like, no, it's a lie. We did this to help people. Like, and everyone he touched, everyone he hugged, they believed that he took their pain. And we don't quite find out, what it's certainly that led to whatever's caused the disruption between them. We don't find out what the exact, again, we're probably either still going to get an episode that focuses on all this stuff, or we'll find out in context when he shows up.
I can see it being the next one, given the ending of this. I can see it just, keeping us waiting for a while.
I kind of agree with that, but that's kind of, so interesting stuff though. I was like, oh man, you really played us there, because like, you're right, like, we just kind of accepted that, and like,
yeah, because we had that big moment at the end of whatever, episode 3, and then we just
3 or 4, whatever the episode was.
Yeah, and then we just went, oh, that's cool, that's different. But we didn't even think to go that it was just a lie for their own gain.
And I kind of like it for a couple of reasons. I like it because I think it's more interesting that it's like they just took it and like kind of, maybe bastardized isn't the right word, but they took it and molded it to their own purpose. And then I also like the sort of weird kind of double guilt that this might give Laurie, because she's kind of, it's not a cult, but she's also kind of lying in the same way that she felt Patty like lied to her about things. And
yeah, do you know what would be really interesting? If it is real and Tom knows it's real, but she was like, no, Laurie's not going to believe this. So he was like, let's do this, and but as a story, so she thinks it's all a lie.
Honestly, I could see that being the case. I could see that coming up later. Like
because we did talk about how he seemed to be getting iller and he was deteriorating, and obviously we saw that with Wayne.
I can also see, I can actually see the scene in my head of the piano music playing, the theme, as he tells her, it wasn't a lie, Mum, it's all real. Like, I can see that scene in my head with the music playing. Like, I can see that happening. And, it wouldn't be out of the realm of the show to do that.
But is this just us wanting to believe?
Not in this case. I think this is me wanting to... I don't even want to. I think this is just me analysing how the show's played things in the past. So given the information I have now, I can see them going down that path, because the show is very much like to play with the idea of like believing in things that are real or not.
Right, and it's often been these two sides, especially with Laurie, even in this one being the very, scientific side.
Yeah.
And being like, no, this is just your mind. It's, it's all in there. It's fine. You should probably take some drugs.
Yeah, you should leave and go away, yeah.
Right, and so if Tom came to her and said all these crazy things, why would she believe him?
I mean, maybe that's what caused the rift. Maybe she kept talking about it as if it wasn't real, as if it was, what she thought it was, and that kind of upset him, because he could feel it. He could feel the getting deteriorating and getting sick. Interesting to see where that goes. I'm really curious now to see. And I think it's impressive that we've only seen Tom in one episode. Actually, not two. He had that small part.
He had that one scene with Jill. Yeah.
But other than that, he's been in one episode. And see, I was thinking the same about Liv Tyler. Like, she's been in one episode so far this whole season. So even if she's in the last 3, it's still like, well, you've been out of most of it by this point.
Easy gig as a series regular.
Is and I think she is still credited as a series regular.
She's yeah. I caught her name in the opening.
So fair play. But no, so I thought all that stuff, and then when they get back to the house, and he's like, "All right, you've still got your last name Garvey. You didn't change it, so I can get you a wristband because you're still the same name." And he brings her back to the house, and some good little moments. Obviously, the dog thing comes up. She looks down at the baby sort of stroller thingamajig, and that gives her a little moment. And I almost feel like I can get the sense from her in that moment, and it's good acting here actually. from Renneman, but you feel that she's intruding. Like, she feels that she's intruding because she sees this, the baby toys, and she's like, oh, like,
It's awkward, isn't it?
yeah, that he's got this new life, and I'm here to kind of invade it. And I mean, obviously, there's no speculation. As soon as they get in, it's like, oh, the guest room's there. There's a hospital. So there's no intention of like, come up to my bed and sleep in there.
Neither of them think this. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not ever presented as even an idea or a possibility.
Yeah, but I love the moment when Jill gets in. I love it with like. Again, like, talk about everything mattering from the start of the show till now, and the weird kind of like, she reached out to her, she gave her a present at Christmas when she was in the GR and all the rest of it, and everything that happened with her kind of like, pushing her and trying to prod her into action at the end when she tried to become the GR herself and all the rest of it. And she walks in and she just immediately is like, Dad, why is she here? Why the F is she here? She's like angry. She's storming through the house. And then obviously, that's the end of the episode. Kevin, like, well, not quite the end. We get the last scene, but this is where this leaves, where he drives off, and we know where he's going because we know he's going back to Virgil because that's like what they've set up.
Yeah.
But like, and it's after and all this, and she's left standing there in the house just looking at Laurie, and I love that Laurie, like, kind of quietly tries to say, like, what's, when she comes in, but then she just stays quiet because I think she feels guilty enough that she knows that let Jill scream, let her shout, let her say what she wants to say,
and also just the fact that she knows Jill well enough to know she's not going to listen at first anyway. So what's the point in wasting her breath?
Well,
she practiced that for a long time.
I mean, the funny thing about Jill is, like, she has grown a lot since season 1, and you do feel that she almost reverts a little bit in this episode. Not as completely. Right, I think it's an interesting thing where you see the shades of her coming back a little bit, which is triggered by Kevin's shit and Kevin refusing to tell her stuff. Because I love to see when he comes back home before this, and she's sitting on the porch, and he sits down, and she's like, "Right, well, did you fix it? Did you get Nora?" And he's like, "She's not accepting my calls," and she's like, "What did you do?" And he just pauses for a moment and says, "It's complicated." And I went, "Oh no, Kevin, that was your mistake. She's earned the right. Just tell the truth. Tell her, like, seriously, like, this is." And I know Patty's telling you not to, but don't listen to Patty. I think that's we've clearly established we should not be listening to Patty.
Yeah.
Or maybe we haven't established that, but certainly I'm feeling like we shouldn't be listening to Patty.
Right. We don't know yet. I mean, Kevin's dad said to listen.
But she doesn't get completely angry. She just, like, she gets a little sad. Like, you see the tear run down. It's like she's given him the chance. She's like, all right, no, I'm going to be the mature version of myself that I've grown into. I've realised. She went to see Michael at the church, and she kind of, like, challenged, the will of God. I suppose I'll call it. She screams, F-bombs as loud as she can, and like, oh, no lightning bolts.
You never know. Worth a try.
Yeah. But obviously she talks to him about, Dad hears voices. I mean, you talk to an imaginary person. Why is no one talking to me? Kind of thing. And obviously it's a very cynical comment, but it kind of shows that she's frustrated. Everyone around them has got their weird thing.
Right.
Not good things, but she feels kind of like left in this weird middle place.
It is. I do like that when she gets back and, Laurie's there at the end, she kind of does fully revert to that place that she was in season 1. And it's kind of like...
It's opening old wounds. It's like she'd healed, but it's like someone just came back and ripped the stitches open.
It is. It's like, when someone moves away and they lose their accent, but then, they'll visit home, or someone visits them with the same accent, and then suddenly they'll switch back and it will all come back.
Yeah.
It's the idea that something from this has come back. It's like all of a sudden it's just that's who she is again.
Yeah, but I do think it's interesting that she kind of reverts back, and then she, like, tries to be mature and gives Kevin a chance to, like, just tell her. And then doesn't get angry, she just kind of walks off. And it's not until she comes in at the end and sees Laurie that she properly flips into full shouty Jill mode. I wouldn't say she's ever... I mean, I think the big thing with season 1 with Jill, though, she was very passive-aggressive. I feel like that she never does that, though. Really.
No, that's true. Not yet.
Yeah, not certainly not yet. I feel like at the very least she's more honest about her anger.
That's true.
So, I mean, which is, mature. If you're angry, you
swear a lot.
You swear a lot. You let people know why you're angry, so they can assess it, and if they're to blame, if they're responsible for your anger, they can, then the ball's in their court to decide how to handle the fact that they've caused you anger. But yeah, so that was Jill's stuff. So back to Kevin. before we get to Virgil, we'll just point out one scene as well, because there's a very sort of important scene at the fire station where he goes in. Here's the interesting thing. I wasn't actually sure what he was there for, because even though he said he was there to get the handcuff off, I didn't really believe him.
Do you know?
I don't know, something about the way he drove up and he got out and he walked in and he couldn't quite see John right away, so he like turned. Obviously, he sees they're taking the handprints, the palm prints, over on the desk, and he turns round. But for some reason, I don't know. I feel like he wasn't there for that either. I feel like that was the easy excuse. Like, oh, I've got a handcuff thing on my.
I mean,
maybe I'm reading into it too much, but
I mean, John mentions the leaflets that have been going around. That's to ask people to come down. Do you think maybe he saw one of those in his one of his nights or whatever, or just without when he's in his other state?
Doppel Kevin.
Yeah, he's subconsciously kind of come down here because he wants to confess almost.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know if he knows for sure. I think that's what the reaction I read from him was. Is he kind of like, I know I didn't, and I believe that he doesn't know about these leaflets. Like you say, maybe
right,
his
not consciously at least. Yeah.
But when he brought up the handcuff, it just kind of felt like a spur of the moment. Oh, it's this. This is why I'm here, rather than that's why he actually drove up and got out. But so sure enough, they take his handprint, and even he tries to be sly. He uses the other hand. He's like, "I'll use this hand." So, no, the other one.
He gives it a good try.
And we see it. It gets scanned in, and so.
So that's it. That's there. That's coming.
We imagine that'll come to something. Although this show being this show, though, it wouldn't surprise me if we find out it doesn't match, even though we know it was him, right?
I feel like I'd find that a little bit of a cop out.
It depends how they do it. Like, it depends. Like, let's say they find a match to someone else. Like, who is that person? Why is it that person? Like, that could explain or add weight to it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. For me, like we've seen it so definitively. It's never broken its rules like that. It's been vague with things, but this is something that's been so certain about showing us time and time. Even here, it showed us it again. Him leaning on the car.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it'd be a cop out if
it depends on how they handle it and why. The why is the big thing. Like why does it not match? Like
I'll reserve judgment until this happens, if it does.
Yeah, this is just speculation on my part. This could just go through and they think it's him, and then we'll see where that leads us. But
I think that's where I hope it goes at this point.
I think there'll be a swerve. I don't see it just going down the. I mean, maybe it will, but I'm expecting him somehow not to be found responsible.
Okay.
That's just my gut feeling. I could be completely wrong, but
all right.
That's how I'm feeling.
I don't know.
So of course, what we've left out, and actually I didn't intend this, but conveniently this will lead us to the final scene as well as we talk about this side of it. So
that was quite nicely, doesn't it?
So Michael catches Kevin talking to Pi, and he actually seems to know a lot about it. He brings up who it is and what's going on, and naturally, much like Kevin, we're like, how the hell does he know all this? What's going on? And we get this bombshell dropped on us that Kevin seen Virgil already. He's seen him on the night of the lake disappearing.
Yeah, his first night here.
Yeah, he went that night. And when he goes to see Virgil and he goes to talk to him, obviously there's some build-up where, Michael says some things and they get up there. Michael doesn't go in with them. He goes and talks to Virgil himself. He's like, you don't remember coming to see me? And obviously we know this is a thing, but he's explaining it. He's like, no, not at all. And we find out that he went there. And they already had this exact conversation. Virgil explained what was going on, at least as to how he believes it or sees it.
Yeah.
And so basically Virgil, but obviously he believes she's there, and so on. But he says that he once had someone else like this, and it made him do things. And this is what led to John shooting him. And I don't think we'd ever actually quite connected that it was him shooting his father that led to his prison sentence.
No, it kind of seems really obvious, doesn't it?
It does seem obvious, but we never actually connected those dots. I don't know why.
Did we not?
No, we didn't. We never did, because when he said that, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And we never thought about it. I think it's because, honestly, we forgot he'd been in prison. Because he mentioned it back in,
it was right at the start, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think by the time they mentioned that he shot his father, we'd just forgotten that he'd been in prison, so...
But no, I could have sworn we'd mentioned it.
No, because he brought it up, and I went, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." But fair
Maybe this
enough.
was just something I thought while I was watching it and then forgot by the time we came to
Maybe,
record.
maybe,
It happens.
uh, but no. So that was a, and it does seem to be John's father. He never actually quite outright says that. They keep referring to him as Michael's grandfather. So the possibility's still there, but it seems like it's John.
It does, doesn't it?
So he's like, yeah, it caused bad things, and basically the way he defeated his, we'll call it demon, just for lack of a better term. Especially since if it turns out not to be real, the whole idea of your inner demon makes metaphorically it works. Is that when he gets shot twice, and he technically died for however many minutes till he was resuscitated. It was when he was, as he puts it, in their playing field that he was able to fight them and win and conquer his adversary, and so seemingly that's Kevin that night grabbed a bit of rope that belonged to Virgil and a cinder block and went out to that lake. And it's like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I actually like, oh, this is what led to that. Like, it wasn't just because I think up until now, Patty's been kind of insinuating he just wanted to kill himself, and we've been like, okay, so why? And it's like, okay, it makes sense she would lie about that because it's to get rid of her.
Yes, of course.
So it's adding up, and it's okay, you're making this event
I'm a
more
little
interesting.
bit confused by his plan because I assume, all right, he wanted to drown and then come back. How was he going to come back if he tied the cinder block to his foot?
Well, exactly. That's what Virgil brings up. Like,
Yeah.
You're supposed to,
I don't understand his mindset
you're supposed
there.
to. Well, I think we've seen previously that Doppel Kevin. Kevin
It's a
when
bit
it's not
unstable, I suppose.
Yeah, like go down to the fact that he got into a rage and kidnapped Patty one night and forgot about it. Like he's clearly not thinking with the
No,
logical mindset. But because Virgil even says that it works better with someone there to to deal with it. And I mean, maybe it's just entirely possible that other Kevin doesn't care about dying. Like as much as main Kevin does say that he doesn't want to die, other Kevin.
I also wonder maybe it was an act of desperation. Like, just doesn't care anymore. Just wants Patty gone. Either way. So it's like if it works, great. Even if not, well, problem solved.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because that's even Patty brings that up. That the only time she ever felt free was in the few seconds before she died because she knew it was over.
Yeah.
And that all of her worries were gone. That was freedom. So it's funny because I didn't think she wanted him to kill himself, and then that little speech though, it sounded like she was goading him into it. It was like, now here's reasons why you should kill yourself. Like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Her intentions are a little bit.
But is that like playing the bluff? Is she going? Go on, kill yourself, knowing that Kevin will ignore her?
Well, she makes fun of him earlier as well because he's like, "Oh, what do you want me to do something? Just say it." And she's like, "Oh." And Cairo does it. And Cairo was a nice because remember the town they went to in the end of season 1 was called Cairo, but it's like Cairo, Egypt. There's an artifact that came from this pharaoh's tomb, and it was this cup, this chalice. You must find it. It'll be guarded, but you must find it, and you must come into it and drink all your cum out of the chalice, every last drop. And he's just sitting there, and I'm like, and the funny thing is, as soon as she started talking about a chalice, I'm like, oh, she's just taking the piss out of him. But
he's deadly. He's taking it seriously.
But when it gets to the, you must jizz into it and then drink all your jizz, I'm like, yeah, okay, right. If it wasn't obvious before, she's just messing with him, and he's just sitting there in shock the entire time. So he obviously he's told how this will work, how he can fight back. And obviously he kind of like loses his temper a little bit and just kind of storms away and leaves. And
that's when Patty in the woods a little bit.
Yeah, he shouts at Patty in the woods. Yeah, that's where that goes. But then after that he drives to. He goes home, has his moments with Jill, can't get through to Nora, so he ends up going to Laurie, and that's when we have the scene at the motel, and then that leads us on. And then eventually, of course, he does get the phone call from Nora when Laurie's at the house just before Jill comes back, and we have this emotional phone call, which, again, great acting from both parties, and he basically just is talking to her. Obviously, he apologizes for lying to her and not saying what he should have right away, and he's like, look, I think I've got a way to get rid of this, right? I'm not going to tell you what it is. I just need to know that if I actually can get rid of her, that if I tell you she's gone, if I look you in the eye and tell you that you'll believe me. That you won't always be doubting that I'm still crazy. Or you won't always be, that's kind of the gist of it. And she, again, great acting from Carrie Coon. She sort of like tears up and says, "Yes, I'll believe you." So it's like, all right, so there's hope here for this, and that's good because we're rooting for him.
Well, that's it. He's got to have that incentive to go and do it. Because if she says no, then it's kind of like, what's the point? Because this is what he's fighting for.
Yeah, and I think what's great about this scene is that it contrasts nicely from... We talked about when him and Laurie come into the house, and there's this kind of awkward... I mean, it's familiar, but it's kind of awkward, and it's, it's not a spark of love, it's not a spark of a rekindle of a relationship, but then you go to the phone call with Nora, and it's full of emotion, it's full of love, and, it's just not a happy phone call necessarily, but it's emotional, it's there, it's raw.
Yeah.
And it contrasts them nicely, so even if you somehow did think that maybe there'll be a love triangle thing. No, this clearly shows the contrast between the two scenes. Like, this is where Kevin's heart is.
Oh, absolutely.
So good, and that makes him drive off, and he goes to Virgil at night, and Virgil whips up some poison in his little jars, which he gave him some lemonade in earlier on in the episode, but this time he's giving him some poison.
I'd be giving those a second glance from now on.
And he explains it. Basically, it'll give you something similar to a heroin overdose. And then he pulls out his needle, which I'm sure you were flinching at.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it didn't go anywhere near anyone. It was just a needle.
No, it's I was okay until the squirting motion. Like that gets me a little bit.
Oh, it's thin air.
No. I know, but that's a signifier that it's coming. Generally, as a general rule on TV, when they do that, it's like, right, it's going to go and stab someone now.
I'm going to go buy a syringe just so I can hold it up sometimes and just give it a tap. The little tap they always give it to test it?
That's another one. That's when it starts. When it's just on screen, I'm okay. But when they start doing those things, I'm like, it's about to go into someone.
Going to fill it with some water and just give it a little squidgy, a little squeeze every so often.
Oh, Christ, I hope you don't have access to needles.
You can buy a cheap syringe, I'm sure, from the pharmacy.
You probably can, but I'm just hoping they won't sell you one.
I'm in good standing with the local pharmacies, thank you very much. Anyway,
God.
So where was I? Yeah, Virgil, death and all that. You know what? So all episode, I'm like, okay, back and forth. It's this one side or the other. Like, is she real? Is she not? Is there going to be this fight in the afterlife so he can beat Patty and come back? And I never thought we'd see it necessarily. But
yeah, again, that's the idea that we don't see the fantastical. We just have people's reactions to it.
But that's it. I don't know if it would be so fantastical to just sort of represent it as a simple kind of dream almost, like where they're just sort of.
I think the problem with showing it, even that kind of implies that it's
definitely real. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas if Kevin just says that it's real, we just have his word. We haven't seen anything.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how we. I mean, it's moot because we don't seem to be. I mean, we might still go down that path. It depends. Because obviously, we end and Kevin's lying there, and he's mid seizure, looking dead. So we might still actually have something in his head come next episode, or they may tackle it whatever way they want to. But I don't know. Like that would be the way I could see them doing it. Like if they were going to show something, I could see it being represented not as an actual battle per se, but just almost like two people sitting at a table, like in his head, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
But then again, this show's never really went into like a dream before. I don't think so, not from the top of my head.
I don't recall any. Like I think we've heard about people's dreams so often, but I don't think we've ever seen anything from one.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Connor. Did you predict at all how this was going to end?
No. God,
yeah,
no.
nor did I. No, because I did think that was like, so he takes he obviously argues with Patty, and she's like, no, don't drink it, Kevin, because again, she wasn't showing up in front of Virgil until now, and she's trying to talk him out of it, and all these different reasons and whatnot, and he basically out of anger, it's like F you, and takes like the full swig of the whole thing, and
he does the whole, oh, when's this gonna start? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, kicks in, and he's on the floor, and there's a couple of seconds where Virgil's just kind of looking at him, and he's got this the stop clock's there, and he's got this syringe out, and there's a moment where I'm like, something feels off here. Nothing felt off before now. Like up until now, he genuinely felt like he wanted to help him, but for some reason in this moment, something feels off. And sure enough, he he squirts out everything that's in the syringe,
Yeah.
just onto the floor.
I love that nothing feels off until it's too late for Kevin. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Kevin's there and aware, everything feels perfectly right. It's why he agrees to go along with it because we're so in Kevin's head
And
in this whole
and so,
episode.
and so far to us as well, just in terms of the whole season, every time we've seen Virgil, he has been nice to people.
Right,
He's
but we,
seemed
we, we don't
good.
see the reality of it until it's too late.
Yeah. Obviously, a couple of tidbits here. The guy in the podium in the middle of
Yes.
town, apparently, at least he claims in this scene, is a success story of this procedure, although I'm starting to doubt that given where it goes. Uh,
I'm not so sure.
that's okay. I'll accept it if
Like
so, but
whatever reason this happens, I think he could have, saved the guy before, but for whatever reason, Kevin is
maybe.
different.
Um, Also, there's all these hints like throughout the episode. Like he keeps saying that he hurt John, right? And then eventually John hurt him back. Did you ever like clock that it might be paedophilia?
I didn't know.
No, because Patty said that as if it was really obvious, and I went, "Whoa, Patty, what?" Like
Yeah.
I thought it was like maybe abusive and maybe like other
Or even
things.
just emotionally abusive. Like, like there's
Yeah,
been no hints of anything like
yeah.
that.
Just even just the way like Kevin's dad was, where he'd maybe have these violent fits with certain people, like kind of thing.
Right, but I don't think we'd ever had any hints of this. But then again, this is Patty. Maybe it's just, her last ditch effort to convince him not to do
Oh,
it.
sure, yeah, yeah. It really could be, but then again, like we know John hates him. We know John shot him, and if John's reason for hating people who claim they're spiritual, I mean, I could see his father's that way. If that's what happened with him, I could see why he'd hate everyone like that. Like why he would
Yeah,
have this blanket opinion that they're all full of shit. Like,
right, of course.
because with his father, maybe he sees it as okay. His father started doing this after he gets shot, after he had his reawakening, as it were, when he fought his demons. Like, if assuming most of that story that he told was true, at least as much as he believes it, like, does he like, oh, this is him trying to pretend to be a better person after everything that happened, and he can't forgive that. So everyone else who's claiming to be these things is full of shit. They're just trying to like cover up
Yeah.
something who they really are, kind of thing.
Yeah, I just don't know. That's the great thing about it is it comes from Patty, so it's so unreliable.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's plausible. Like it's not outside the realms of
Yeah,
possibility.
I mean, obviously, even if it isn't that, even if it is just assault and abuse and that kind of stuff, like
That's awful as well.
everything would still link up with what I just said with John's view of these people based on his
Right.
father. But yeah,
But like could be Patty going to the extreme in her attempts.
yeah. But who's to say? Like maybe we'll find out more. But
Yeah.
it certainly gives that extra bit of info on John and why he feels the way he does about things, and maybe why he is so harsh on others. Like why he's such. And while he's always seemed a bit of a dick to a lot of people, he seems like he does go too far. It's like, okay, you're giving me some justification here as to. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with how he treats certain people, but like I'm starting to understand why he is the way he is.
Right. It's empathy, but not agreement.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So that was like the sort of the details that were interesting before. So yeah, so he squirts so Kevin's on the floor. He's having a seizure. We know that he needs to have this injection within 5 minutes, but of course he's just squirted it out. So, damn. Um, Actually, the only other thing that was slightly off, although I didn't necessarily think it had anything to do with what Kevin was about to go through, was when he showed up at the trailer. Michael was there, and Michael, like it was kind of a weird, awkward moment where he's like, "Oh, Michael was just leaving," and Michael looked kind of pissed about it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it felt like something was going on that was going to maybe be brought up later. I didn't really
Yeah,
necessarily
like
realize.
they'd been
Yeah.
having a disagreement about something, but it didn't.
Yeah,
You had no reason to believe that we had anything to do with this.
yeah, but yeah, exactly. So, but obviously, I'm thinking it maybe had something to do with this, just given that this happened next. And Michael obviously comes back in. He's the reason why Kevin might not be dead, because Michael might take him to the hospital, to his mother, perhaps.
He might. He might.
What else do you see
I,
happening?
I don't know. I don't know what Michael's intentions here are because he doesn't seem in a rush to get him out.
Uh, sure.
Like he kind of just, like if his intention was to get him to hospital as quick as possible, he doesn't hear the gunshot and then come running in. He kind of walks in. He walks over to Kevin. He looks and then he starts pulling him. But I don't know. I didn't get a sense of him rushing.
Well, he's going to do something though. He's taking
He's
them
going
for
to
a
do
reason.
something, obviously, but I don't know. I don't know what. I didn't get the sense of that he was rushing with the intention of getting into the hospital. Like like you would do. You'd get that right guy there as quick as possible.
Well, this is the thing though. Any other thing he could be doing, he'd also be on a time limit. So the whole
Yeah.
idea is not rushing, so he's not doing that. Doesn't add up for me because even if it's like okay, maybe part of this for this to work, maybe because obviously, so what happened? We've kind of glossed over it. Is Virgil takes out a gun and it's like, oh, what the hell's he doing with the gun? And then he just puts it in his mouth and kills himself. Blood all over the wall. Really shocking. Really comes out of nowhere. You're like, damn, like what the hell? So, like, my one guess as to what this is that for some reason someone has to sacrifice themselves for Kevin's thing to work. Maybe that doesn't explain why he gets rid of the syringe. Admittedly, I don't know.
No, to me it more seemed like maybe Virgil hears these voices, sees the people too, and they were convincing him you got to let him die.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Like they were blackmailing him with however they were, they'd broken him.
Yeah, you got to kill him. So yeah, and then he kills himself because he can't, doesn't want to go to jail.
He doesn't want to live with that. Yeah.
I can see that. But obviously Michael comes in and I'm like, well, if he's not taking him to his mother or the hospital to, fix him that way, like I wonder, like, is there someplace else he's meant to go for whatever is happening? Or, like, has Virgil told him to take him somewhere?
Yeah.
But in that situation as well, it's also like, well, why wouldn't he be in a rush? Unless his intention is just to bury him somewhere, and like, but that doesn't seem like Michael's character. That doesn't
But it's. I'd be if that is the case though. That's what he does. I think that would be very interesting. Like as to why he did that, why he went. Because assuming that this was Virgil's plan, and this is what they were disagreeing about, why did he eventually go along with it? If that is what he's doing, what convinces him?
Well, I mean, if Virgil's telling him it's the will of God, like this is what's supposed to happen, this is what they're supposed to do.
That might be enough, yeah.
Like that could be why he does it. But maybe it's the case of he's taking him to bury him, but he'll change his mind like before it's too late, and then he'll rush to the hospital. Maybe that'll be kind of how it goes down. But certainly he's there. Obviously, Kevin's not dying, so Michael's obviously the reason why he won't die. Unless there's like a weird other third party that comes, into the scene, like start next episode or whatever.
Yeah.
But certainly Michael seems to be the reason why he won't be dead.
How crazy would it be if he is dead, though?
Given the fact that I've seen screenshots of next season and he's there.
No. But stick with me. Patty died.
Oh, sure. Okay, right.
I'm just saying.
What, you think Nora's going to be like seeing him now?
Quite possibly, or Jill, perhaps.
Given
Jill's resistance to this stuff, and like the whole conversation we had with Michael about why doesn't she have someone?
I'm not in the camp. I can see where you're coming from. And I can see the possibility.
I'm not convinced either. I'm just saying there's enough there that I could go with it.
Okay. There's the small possibility that they'll go down that path, but I'm fairly certain he's going to be alive.
Fair enough.
I'm fairly certain because the whole Pam print has to come up, and if he's dead, that's like moot.
Is it? Because then it's like, well, justice has been had.
Yeah, well, it's just moot.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of it, isn't it? Like you'll have him being annoyed that he didn't get to exact his own vengeance on Kevin.
Yeah, but then where do you go from there?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll have to wait and see what they do.
Which is why it's not happening. So get over it. Look, you might end up being right about your stupid random Australia prediction, but you're not going to be right about this. All right?
Oh, I really hope I'm right. I've never hoped I've been right about something so much, even though I don't even think I'm right.
What, the Australia thing?
No, this.
Oh, this. Right.
After that comment, I just want to be right. Even though I don't even think I'm right that much, I want to be after that.
I don't know, I had a pretty good win on the Twin Peaks predictions this past week. I was being quite smug about that.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, so
I've laid some predictions of my own.
Aye, but they weren't ones I argued with, though. So you're not going to be gloating about it.
No. I don't think I argued with you on yours. Did I?
No, you didn't, but you didn't necessarily agree with it either. But I'm pretty sure the ones you said for Twin Peaks finale, I was kind of like, yeah, probably this and that, and probably that, and I can see it.
Yeah.
So it's not as sweet as,
I don't know. I'll
my
take
victory.
it anyway.
No.
Look, whatever happens, I'm going to have Australia.
minute victory. No, you don't know that for sure. There could be one episode in Australia.
I'm convinced of it.
Look, your prediction that season 3 would be set in Australia. I'm saying no, right? I'm saying there may be 1 or 2 episodes set in Australia, but not the whole season.
All right, but if it's the majority, you got to give it me. If it's like the last episode isn't, or something like that, I'm still taking that.
Okay, so it has to be more than 4. There's 8 episodes. Has to be more than 4.
Yep, I'll allow it.
The terms have been agreed upon.
Don't know what we win for this other than pride, but I'll do.
I'm not putting anything on the line. Honestly, the pride of being right and you being wrong is
it's enough, isn't it?
More than enough stakes for my liking. I guess we're done.
I think it must be, yeah.
That weird ramble at the end I guess means we're done. Great episode though. Solid acting. I loved the stuff from season 1 feeling super relevant, and a lot of the conversations between the family members, mainly Laurie and Kevin, but also Laurie and Jill.
And also just a shock ending that we just didn't see coming.
Yeah, it was a great ending. Because he's been such a nice person all season, and even though there's been sure we've heard John, but John's such a dick to everyone that we just kind of assume
that he's being a dick about this as well.
Yeah, but clearly if what Patty said is true, then not so much. So, but there you go. That's episode 7. We'll be back soon with episode 8. So do us a favour and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can get some bonuses over there, but otherwise that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time.